Hello, and welcome to the first installment of Learn English with Photos. My name is Jeffrey Hill, and I'm going to be using photos I've taken to help you improve your English vocabulary and practice your speaking skills. In this episode, we're going to be looking at language connected with air travel. So, without further ado, let's get started. This photo was taken in May 2012 at Glasgow Airport. I flew from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris to Glasgow with EasyJet, a low-cost or budget airline. The flight took about 1.5 hours, I think. Of course, this being Scotland, the sky is overcast and it looks like it could rain at any minute. I think the temperature was about 5 degrees, and that was in May. So much for global warming. I took the photo just after the plane had landed, and you can see the passengers disembarking. The bald man with the glasses, who looks a bit like me in fact, is just coming down the ramp or stairs. He's carrying a red suitcase in his left hand and has an armful of stuff, probably books, newspapers and the like. The young boy ahead of him is putting a suitcase on wheels, or wheeled suitcase, behind him. Not an easy job. The grey-haired couple at the bottom of the stairs are both carrying blue bags. The girl with the scarf around her neck is pulling a red suitcase on wheels. She also has a plastic bag. The passenger on the left here has a rucksack or backpack on his back. So all the passengers have what's called carry-on or hand baggage. This means that it's small enough to fit into the lockers in the cabin of the plane. On EasyJet, you're allowed to take one piece of hand baggage into the cabin with you. You don't have to pay for this. However, if you have extra pieces of luggage or items which are too big to fit into the storage lockers, they will have to be checked in and put into the hold of the plane. That's the storage area beneath the cabin. And of course you'll have to pay an additional charge. In fact, even though budget airlines are supposed to be cheap, you might end up paying a lot of additional charges on top of the basic fare. For example, there'll probably be an administration fee or a credit card fee when you book. I've already mentioned the luggage charges, and during the flight you'll have to pay for newspapers and food or drink if you want them. Nothing is free. Oh, except for the toilets, and Ryanair were planning to charge for those at one stage. This second photo was taken at Mau Airport in Menorca, where the weather was a bit warmer. The men you can see here are baggage handlers and are unloading the baggage from the hold of the plane, which has just landed. Now let's look at some words used to describe parts of the plane. The front part of the plane is the nose. The pilot sits in the cockpit. The middle part of the plane is the fuselage, and the long flat pieces sticking out on either side are the wings. Beneath each wing is a jet engine. The back of the plane is called the tail. Okay, just before we finish, a few more important words and expressions. When you arrive at the airport terminal, you have to show your boarding pass and check in. After going through the security checks and passport control, you'll be able to board the plane, which takes off from and lands on a runway. Hopefully your flight won't be delayed. Now we're going to go over some of the vocabulary we've seen so far. I'll say each word and you can repeat it after me if you like. I'll also make some comments on some of the words. The first word is airline. Now there are various types of airline. We've seen a low-cost airline or a budget airline, also known as a no-frills airline. These are airlines like EasyJet or Ryanair. Passenger. Passenger. The passengers are sitting in their seats. Board. Board. The passengers are boarding the plane. Disembark. Disembark. The passengers are disembarking from the plane. You can use the verb disembark for leaving a plane or a boat, but not a train, car or bus. Take off. Take off. For example, the plane took off 2 hours late. Take off is also a noun. During takeoff, you have to fasten your seatbelt. Land. Land. The plane is landing on the runway. Airport. Airport. Heathrow and Gatwick are London airports. Runway. The plane is landing on the runway. Fly. Fly. Fly is an irregular verb. Have you ever flown in a jumbo jet? Last week I flew from Paris to New York. Flight. Flight. Did you have a good flight? My flight leaves at 4 o'clock. Terminal. Terminal. The terminal is the airport building where passengers wait to board the plane and where you can buy duty-free goods and all sorts of other things. Pilot. Pilot. The pilot is the person who flies the plane. Cockpit. Cockpit. The cockpit is the part of the plane where the pilot sits with all the controls. Cabin crew. Cabin crew. The cabin crew are the people who look after you during the flight. Flight attendant. Flight attendant. A flight attendant is a member of the cabin crew who looks after you during the flight, serves you drinks or food, and makes safety announcements. Plane. Plane. Plane is the most general word for a flying machine, but there are plenty of other alternatives. For instance, airplane or aeroplane, which is where the word plane comes from. Jet. Jet. A jet is a fast plane with jet engines. Airliner. Airliner. An airliner is a big plane which carries passengers. And finally, aircraft. Aircraft. Aircraft is a word which covers all sorts of flying vehicles, such as helicopters, planes, and so on. Now let's look at what the various parts of the plane are called. The front of the plane is the nose. Then we have the cockpit, that's where the pilot sits. Fuselage, the wing, the jet engine, the tail, the undercarriage, those are the wheels which the plane uses to land, the hold, where all the baggage is stored, and that's it. Ramp. Ramp. Stairs. Stairs. The ramp is what the passengers use to board the plane or to disembark from the plane. Luggage. Luggage. Baggage. Baggage. Now, luggage and baggage are basically the same thing. It's the suitcases and bags that you carry with you when you're traveling. Both these words are uncountable, which means that they cannot be used in the plural, and you cannot use them with the definite article. You cannot, for instance, say a baggage. You would have to say a piece of baggage. Suitcase. Suitcase. These days most people seem to have suitcases with wheels. Rucksack. Rucksack. Backpack. Backpack. A rucksack and backpack are basically the same thing. It's a bag which you carry on your back. Locker. Locker. Bin. Bin. Locker and bin are two words used for the overhead compartments where you store your luggage in the cabin. Passport control. Passport control is where the immigration officer checks your passport. There's been a big controversy recently at Heathrow where it's been taking up to 2 hours to go through passport control. When you arrive at an international airport, you have to go through customs. The customs officer will ask you if you have anything to declare, and he may check your bags. Okay, in the final part of the lesson, you'll get the chance to use some of the language we've studied. I'm going to ask you a series of questions relating to air travel. I suggest you pause the video while you answer. And don't just reply with yes or no, try to make your answers as detailed as possible. Okay, let's begin. Question 1. When was the last time you flew in a plane? Question 2. Which countries have you flown to? Question 3. Do you always try and find the cheapest fare? Question 4. What's your opinion of low-cost airlines? Question 5. Some people are afraid of flying. Do you get nervous when you fly? Question 6. What things do you most like and dislike about flying? Question 7. What's the worst experience you've had when travelling by air? Question 8. What could airlines do to improve their service? Question 9. Why is air travel bad for the environment? And question 10. What do you think air travel will be like 50 years from now? Right, that's all for now. I hope you found this lesson useful. If so, look out for the next installment of Learn English with Photos.